Today on Quiet Arena Podcast.
Playing around in a small city with some big dreams.
CJ Avery.
I didn't know where to go. Honestly, I had to let go of my pride. I was a substitute teacher.
We don't really show how we really feel inside as athletes. Like, oh, we good, we straight, but we're not.
That was a product of me just continuing to keep going. Even though I was going through all these rough times, keep going is my motto that I live by every day. We want to get you prepared before that. Younger athletes lack is the identity outside of sports.
The stadium is loud, the lights are bright, the crowd is cheering.
Rumor has it, I'm a savage, drop the classic, thinking back.
But every athlete eventually has to answer one question. What happens next? Because when the arena goes quiet, the real game begins. Welcome to Quiet Arena. Hey, welcome all are welcome to the locker room. We had that one on my, I got to give my man, Coach D, the shout out for the locker room. But this is the Quiet Arena. So Coach D, I'm going to give you your shout out, man, for coming up with the locker room. But, Quiet Arena, it's a ring to that thing. And look, today, man, we have a very special guest. I mean, this guy has been through so many different ebbs and flows and ups and downs as it pertains to the sports space. But what I really love about CJ is his ability to overcome, his ability to adapt. And so without further ado, we have my man CJ Avery. Man, welcome to the locker room, brother. Welcome to the Quiet Arena.
Yes, sir. Honored to be here, man. Can't wait to get going on this and have a great conversation.
Absolutely, man. Well, look, I wanna jump right into it, man. Let's go back a minute, man. Let's go back to Grenada. Let's go back to Grenada, man. Before Louisville, before the league, who was CJ before the game got serious for him?
Yeah, I think he was just a very motivated young man that seen his father play ball, and football was kind of what it was for me growing up. Just a young boy that just running around, want to have fun, want to enjoy outside, all of those good things, man. And then I got a hold of to something called a football, man. And then that's where it kind of started. That's who I became, and kind of my journey starting in Grenada, man, just playing around in a small city with some big dreams. And I think I've been blessed to be able to start being able to get some great, achieve some great dreams from that.
That's dope, bro. I like that, what you said, man. A small city with big dreams, bro. I love that, man. Those humble beginnings. Like, what were some of those lessons, as you said, like growing up in those small cities that you carried with you as you continued on through your journey of elevation?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it, man. Just coming from a small city, I'll be honest with you, man. I used to dream about being around big buildings. Like whenever I came and visited a big city with like tall buildings, because in Grenada I didn't grow up around that. I didn't see those type of things. So when I did get a chance to see that throughout my life, like traveling as a little kid, like I was amazed about it. I'm like, man, this like gets me going. It's kind of crazy to just think about, but man, that was something that was a motivation for me being a younger kid. I was like, one day I want to make it to be someone that can stay in a big city, and it's a normal for me to be around big buildings and be in those type of environments and things like that. So that's where that aspect of growing up in a small town has led me to these bigger things and being able to accomplish a lot.
I love that, bro. What do you believe that, like in your mind, what did the big city represent for you?
Mm-hmm. I think it represented hope for me, man. It was like I said, I keep talking about how the small city of Grenada is just so small, man. Like it's not common for a lot of people to make it out and do really big things. So those big cities represented hope for me. It was like it's another world out there that I don't know about, and I wanted so badly as a young kid to just be able to get there and be able to experience those things.
No, that makes sense, bro. Man, it's so interesting. I've had conversations with so many different people, and so it's funny because you and I met at the PAC Accelerate event in Arizona. And I had talked to you and I were speaking, and we were talking about oh man, my God, Tyree
Tyree, yeah,
Phillips.
Tyree Phillips.
Yeah, and the connection and him being from there and a Churchtown kid and him experiencing some of those same visions and thought processes and dreams. And both of you, ironically, use sport to position yourselves into those, higher spaces. Um, as you were coming up, like what did football represent for you back then? Was it the passion? I mean, we talk about going to big cities, so the escape opportunity. What was football for you growing up?
Yeah, I believe football growing up for me was what you said, opportunity. It was an opportunity to better my life, better my family's life, just like in general, just be exposed to more, man. I think, at a young age, I learned early that don't use the game. Well, use the game. Don't let the game use you. And that's something that I truly took to heart as a young kid and was able to understand that if I just put the work in and I put myself in a great position to elevate in the game. And throughout the game, as I continue my career, I know I'll be successful in whatever I wanted to do. Because I've always been a great person. I've always been a people's person, build great relationships, and just that aspect of being a football player. That's just the cream of that's just the icing on the cake that will allow me to get in spaces that I've always dreamed of.
Man, you know, as I think about like just sports in general, it's so funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I was like, before I ever left the state of Texas, I left the country.
All right.
And he was like, "What do you mean, bro?" I said, "Like, bro, like I had never left the state of Texas. I'd always been around Texas. Like whether I went to El Campo in the summer or if I went to Dallas to visit my pops at the time, like I never left the state." I said, "But the very first time I jumped on a plane and like really traveled, I went to the Junior Olympics as a 14-year-old for basketball. So it's just amazing to me, like what sport can do to be able to put you in a different space and allow you to see things from a different perspective just because you're in different environments, man. Which is what you're talking about when you talk about leaving from those small cities to those bigger cities. Um, so you had a strong career at Louisville, bro.
Yeah.
The production, leadership, the consistency. But what was the part of the journey that people never saw behind the scene?
Yeah, I think honestly that's a great one, man. I truly enjoy speaking about that, man, because I feel like the part of the journey that a lot of people wasn't able to see and don't really know as much as who I became as a man. I think being at the University of Louisville truly changed my life in so many ways, positive. That I can't thank that university enough and the people that I met there enough because just starting back into Grenada, like I was a young kid that usually most people they get scholarships in Mississippi, they stay in the Mississippi schools, the Mississippi State or the Ole Miss. But me, I chose to be a little different. I chose to be a little different on my journey and go to a school, Louisville, Kentucky. This is a basketball school. Like nobody really know much about Louisville football at the time, so I was able to do something that was a little different. And the reason why I truly chose that school was to come into that campus and be a better man, leave a better man. And I did that throughout that whole journey. So I think that's what that time at Louisville was for me is to it shaped me into the man that I'm going to continue to be throughout my life. Going through hard times, going through adversity. I feel like I went through a lot of adversity at Louisville. Like different coaches. Like nowadays, guys in the transfer portal like that, man. I went through two different head coaches, three different DCs. Like it was all in the in. If it was nowadays, it would be like, all right, just go transfer to a different school. But I stuck through it, and I learned so much about myself that I was able to
Mm.
understand that I'm a better man from that.
I love the fact that you are speaking to the ability to stay planted even when chaos is around you. You
Right.
know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
could you give me like maybe one or two lessons that you learned when you were going through all of those different transitions? And what was it in your mind that made you say, you know what, irregardless of what's happening around me, I'm going to be the consistent and I'm going to stick this out and see it through because there's something that I need to get from this.
Yeah, I think the lesson that I learned, or something that I took away from it was, be where your feet are and
Mm.
cultivate relationships. Like the thing that I truly took away from being at Louisville, and I think it's continued to pay off throughout my life, was even though I was in there, like you could have been thinking down the line of like what's next, I was like truly in there, and I was like, I'm gonna be where my feet are. I'm gonna give it everything I got each day. I'm gonna walk in the building with a smile on my face. I'm gonna put in all the work that I can, and I did that, and that led me to being in the record books. That led me to being a three-time captain. That led me to have a great name whenever I come back to Louisville, which I think, having a great name is priceless, man. So
Yeah.
that leads into the relationship aspect of, man, I was able to cultivate relationships in that city where anything I need or anybody that I reach out to, I have a good name with them, and I built a great relationship throughout my time at Louisville. That is like now it's like it repays me in the times that I thought I didn't think too much of. Like I didn't think too much in the future. Like I said, I stayed in the now where my feet were, and now it's repaying me down the line.
Dude, you dropping so many gems, bro. Like it's so interesting because when you think of sports, everything is about the next, right? Like the next play, or somebody gets hurt, it's the next man up, or you don't do as well as you wanted to, and the next opportunity is always the next.
Mm-hmm.
Very few times do we focus on the now. Like
Right.
even when we're looking to elevate ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it's all with the thought process of what this is going to do for us so that we can get to this particular space, as opposed to thinking about what is this doing for us right now.
Right.
So that's what I take from what you're saying as it pertains to, like, hey, I'm going to stay here and stay planted because I'm locked in the process right now. I'm not thinking about what's going on down the road, or even, whatever the next level, the proverbial next level is.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to control the thing that I can control, and that's being where my feet are planted, bro. That's a gem right there. I hope for the listeners that they, when they're listening to that, they understand that, because that's not just a sport thing. I believe that's a life thing. If you
Absolutely.
everybody has vision, and a lot of people have, objectives and targets that they want to hit, but bro, you can't do anything but be present.
Be perfect. Yep.
And like that's your superpower in the space of social media and all of this stuff that's happening. It's like, bro, you all locked in on what's happening next, and it's so much things happening that's happening right now for you if you lock in and awaken to that awareness of that, bro. That's dope.
So,
um so you've given everything to the game at that level.
mhm.
Did you feel like the opportunity on the other side was guaranteed, or did you always know that this thing might not be certain?
Yeah, I think I always knew that it might not be served. The game is it sometimes it cannot it can be not fair to you. So you can put all you can into it and everything, but it might just not repay you exactly what you want. So I always kind of knew that, but I also like we said, man, I think you be where your feet are and you control what you can control. And then you just obviously reap the benefits of what you're controlling. So I always knew that, like I said, it wasn't guaranteed, but I also am very grateful for the way that my journey has played out.
Absolutely. I like that, bro. That's, you know, football is a fickle sport.
Yeah.
Football is a fickle sport, man. You go in with the thought process you want to have this long career, and you think you believe you're doing the right things, but then there's happenstance, or there's changes or shifts, or the body gives out, or whatever it is. Like, we never know what that thing is that derails us from the vision that we thought we had. Um, and segueing into this question, so you go undrafted with Chicago, with the Bears, and then you got released with an injury shortly after. What
Mhm.
did that moment do to you mentally?
Man, it was one of the craziest times of my life, man. It honestly, brought me down to the bottom. I was down really really bad after that because you know, like I said, you know, just dating back all the way from Grenada. Like, I'm a young kid that has dreamed about being at this stage and at this level, and then I was able to, you know, be so short of that dream just off, you know, my body not responding or having that injury. So I was really down bad, man. I was in a dark place where I really had to, you know, dig deep within myself and pull myself out of that. So that's where I was. I truly leaned on my faith. As you know, I think that was the key component of me being able to get out of that situation, and then also just surround myself with a great support system. So that was the time
Mm.
for me, man, and I think that's another part of my life that has shaped me to understand that, you know, you can put all the work in that you want to, but sometimes it might just not repay you. But you still got to learn how to have faith throughout all the times, good and bad.
I like that. Can you talk to me and expound a little bit? Because I want anybody that's listening to this, I don't want to roll or skip past this. You said something to me that I believe is extremely important. It's actually a biblical principle. You talked about your support system.
Hmm.
What does your support system look like? Who are those people that are within that in that circle that you lean on that helped you through that time?
Absolutely. At the time, it was my family, man. At the time, it was my family that they were always there. They were the people that I was bouncing ideas off of, or just, you know, just consulting in, of like, where do I go next? And those were the people that truly brung me out of it, because I think, you know, you can try to do it all by yourself, and that's all good and dandy, but you know, it's always better when you have someone else that can lift you up as well. So that consisted of my father, my mother, my cousins, people like that allowed me to be able to come up out of that dark place.
So you're you're undrafted, you get hurt,
Hmm.
your support system is helping you to figure out what's next in life.
Hmm.
Um, we One of the things that I talk about often is when the arena gets quiet, like that quiet arena moment. Um, so when the NFL opportunity doesn't go the way that you would like it to, and things do get quiet for you for a moment, what does that season of life feel like for you?
It felt like uncertainty. It was to the point where I didn't know where to go, and I like I said, yeah, I had that support system to bring me out, but at the end of the day, I also still had to make a decision for myself to figure out what I wanted to do next. So with me, man, it was, you know, it was, honestly, I had to let go of my pride. I was, a lot of people don't know, but
Mm.
I was a substitute teacher that, you know, this big time NFL player just goes into substitute teaching, and like, that's not a bad thing, but it's like, you know, at that point when you're an NFL player, that's not what you want to do. And so I had to like I said, let go of my pride and truly just understand that, you know, it will work out for me. I just gotta kind of just walk my own path. I had to learn that. Like, I was so wrapped up into like how this journey was supposed to go, and I was like, nah, like, I'm looking at everybody else's journey, like all the guys that I was with, like, man, they having success, they doing this, like, I did my thing, and like, why I'm not? But it's my lane that I gotta walk in. That I realized that was kind of something that I just carried over.
Man, that's I don't think I don't believe people truly understand. Like, we're not saying anything is wrong with moving into this space where we're educating kids. We love that. We love children. We
Absolutely.
want to be, a lot of athletes go into coaching, into teaching to be mentors.
Mhm.
But when you feel as though your destiny and your in the space that you're coming from is unfulfilled, it's hard for us to see anything outside of basically feeling like we failed, right?
Right.
Even though that might not necessarily be true, right? That
Mhm.
just might be that your journey in that space has ended, but we still feel as though we failed because we didn't accomplish what we had set out to accomplish the way we wanted to do it.
Correct.
And a lot of times that can create like these intrinsic internal thoughts. When you're in that space, what were the internal battles you were dealing with that people around you just probably didn't see, right? Because we don't really show how we really feel inside as athletes. Like, we good, we straight, but we're not. What did they not see when you were fighting that battle internally?
Yeah, I think it was that self identity, man. That was something that
Mm,
I really battled with for a long time. Even during in that time, man, I was like, who am I? Like, what am I about? And I think that's what a lot of people didn't know. Like, you put on this great career at Louisville and was able to be very successful. A lot of people look up to you, but then you go through this and like they don't see that side of you, that you truly don't know where you're going. You don't understand who you are at the moment. So that was something that I truly battled with at that time, and I just obviously took it day by day to understand who I am with that self identity.
dude, man, I'm telling you, bro. Listen, bro, it's like you be having my notes.
Yes,
Bro,
sir.
so I've been studying this thing. It's a psychological study that's out. It's called athlete identity foreclosure, or AIF. And what it speaks to is, as an athlete, you're so locked into whatever your sport is that it never gives you the opportunity to explore identity outside of. So when that sport is taken away from you, right, then now it's almost as though like you're experiencing a death, right? So there's what you talked about. There's a lack of clarity. There's a lack of loss of purpose. There's a lack of identity. There's all of these things that, quite frankly, lead a lot of athletes into depression, right? It leads them to make decisions that they otherwise would not make. It literally changes them from who they were to this particular entity that is like lifeless, right? And until they discover who they truly are, which is what you're talking about. But your story doesn't end there, right? Because after that, you go from being in that moment to actually becoming a starter in the XFL, being able to produce again and showing up again. What shifted in you during that time when football was given back to you by way of the XFL?
Yeah, I think that was just truly the product of my hard work. Like, even through all that time of while I was doing the substitute teaching and stuff, man, I stuck to, working out every day. I had a routine where I was getting up at 5 a.m. And still going, and then getting to school and doing a whole day there and doing day, and then, obviously going to do your extra work after that. So it was like, that was a product of me just continuing to keep going. Even though I was going through all these rough times, or at least I felt like they were rough times, I still had the drive to keep going and keep doing my thing, because I knew that I was very talented, and I knew that I could eventually show the world that I can fight through adversity and I can be on the other side of it. So that was that, and that was how I felt like I overcame that with the XFL opportunity.
Absolutely. When I hear you talk about overcoming adversity, it reminds me of a proverb in the Bible that says that if you faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small, right?
Mhm.
So like, and a lot of people talk about faith, and I ask the question when they talk about, you gotta have faith, you gotta have faith, you gotta have faith. I'm like, okay, well, how do you know if you have faith if it's never tested?
Hey, there you go. Hmm.
So for you, that faith to continue to work even when you couldn't like clearly see the end goal or the destination, gave you an opportunity to get back into the game that you appreciated and the game that you loved and the game that took you from that small place in Grenada to Chicago and different places, and now being in the XFL. And then it comes back and it does it again, which I'm excited for you here, to where now you're playing football outside of the country, right?
So,
In the CFL, making impact plays and earning a name for yourself now. So give me that journey. How do we get to the CFL from the XFL and being the
mhm.
playmaker that you are today?
Yeah, man, it was a great journey. It was unexpected, to be honest with you, man. It was playing in the XFL, and then I ended up getting a call because one of my friends got signed, and then he was like, "Bro, you too good to like for somebody to not know about you. So like he put in a recommendation, and then they was like, "Oh, we already knew about CJ. Like we've been trying to get him." So I ended up getting up there to the CFL, and that's where it kind of started, man, and did my thing up there. So that journey was just like I said, it was the same thing. It was a product of just putting in really good work and keep going, man. Like I'm big on that, whether that's football, whether that's life, business. Like keep going is my motto that I live by every day. And I that was a product of me making it to the CFL and doing really great things out there.
That's dope, bro.
Yes, sir.
I saw on your social media platform where you were talking to some, I believe it was some high school kids, and you were talking to them about, understanding your identity and finding your purpose, and being okay with, loving the sport. There's nothing wrong with that, but also understanding that this is not all.
Yes, sir.
And I know a lot of that comes from your experience. As you're speaking to these young kids and you are mentoring these young kids, whether that be you being the teacher or that be you being the CFL individual, the athlete, the professional athlete that they're looking up to,
Mhm.
um, what are you seeing now that younger athletes aren't prepared for when the game doesn't go exactly as planned? Because you're somebody that has experience in that space.
Yeah, I think that ties into well what I'm doing now, man. I've created A1 athlete development where it focuses on elevating student athletes off the field, and I think that's tying into the question that you asked, man. Like when I think about what athletes are lacking, is I think that they're lacking that identity outside of sports. Like who are you? What are your core values? What are things like that you can stand on? And that's why I've been able to create this program to go into high school. That's why you see me talking to the high school kids of being able to go in there and create programs to where we talk about things of like who are you as an athlete, because we're able to get ahead of that before you go through an experience like mine. And I'm sure a lot of more athletes that's been through the paper where hey CJ, can you bring an iPad to the front office? Like it's time for you to go. Like we want to get you prepared before that. So that's what I've been doing, and that's why I believe that younger athletes lack is the identity outside of sports.
Agree 1,000%. 1,000%. I want you to go a little bit deeper into what you're building outside of the sport now, because I believe that's so important for the viewers to hear. It's like, hey, I went in with a certain thought process. It didn't go the way that I wanted, but I was able to get another chance in this arena. And now, because I've taken that experience, I'm also doing the thing that I love. But while I'm doing the thing that I love, I'm still making space to do this other thing that I'm exploring and that I have a passion for. So it shows that I can do more than one thing, which I think is extremely important. Can you go in a little deeper into your company and like what the focal point is?
Yep. Yeah, no, I would definitely do that, man. So, like I said, it's A1 athlete development where the purpose is truly to elevate these student athletes off the field. And I'll give you my why from that. My why is playing in the CFL. I was in that space where I felt like I kind of wanted to transition. I didn't know I'm still doing it, but it's like I went through an injury, man, and that injury as a professional athlete, when you have an injury, you go through so many things mentally, and like you're trying to question, like, hey, like, what do I want to do next? If this is it, like all of those things. So I personally went through those things that gave me the reason to say, okay, now I need to sit back and understand what do I want to do. So I figured that out. So I'm like, okay, now how can I go and help the next athlete so they don't have to understand, or they can have some guidance in that. So this is where that's my why for doing this. So we're going into high schools, we're doing things that allows them to be successful outside the sport, such as being able to, like I said, be able to understand who you are as a person, understand your core values, how to be a leader. We're going in to talk about resumes, LinkedIn, things like that you don't think about when you're a younger athlete that could get you a potential opportunity, whether that's an internship or anything. And then also things of like public speaking. How do you speak to someone? How, the words that you choose to use around a certain audience can allow you to get an opportunity or a job or a career where, if you didn't understand how to speak, then you might miss that opportunity. So those are some of the things that we're doing, and we're able to go into these high schools and help out these younger guys and gals as well. Like this is something that will be in multiple sports, but that is what A1 Athlete Development is doing. I'm currently in the Dallas, Texas area, but looking to expand as well.
I love the fact that you've taken your why and you've turned it into a business.
Yes, sir.
And I want more athletes to understand that that's possible, right?
Hmm.
You got to sit down and you got to think about, like, here's my belief system. My beliefs. Well, you got to sit down and you have to think about what that looks like for you to finish the thought. But my belief system is and value system lies here. I truly believe that our purpose is found at the midpoint between our God given talent and the individuals we were called to serve. And
Yes, sir.
once we understand that and align that, now it's just about, okay, well, what tool do I want to use that answers the problem for my marketplace? And it seems as though that's what you've been able to discover. And what you come to find is, like, when you find that passion, whether it's in entrepreneurship, it's in teaching, it's in I got guys. One of my good buddies, CJ Watson, he used to play in the NBA.
Hmm.
Man, he writes children's books and does things with foundations. I got another guy, Abe, Ab. He's a professional player as well. He's played in the NBA, but he's played overseas as well. Man, he creates like visual documentaries and all types of stuff for kids. Like it's like it's so many different things that we can do as athletes that are beyond the game, and we need to go into an exploratory phase and be patient with ourselves when we're doing that, man. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, CJ. At the end of this show, man, I always ask our primary question, man. Like our this is our version of, what's your biggest pivot. I know a lot of people talk about that on the pivot, but
Right.
so the question goes as follows. So when the arena goes quiet, what part of you remains that the game could never take, and what are you building with it now?
Mm, I think it'll never take my love for what it's done for me. I think that's something that I truly will always, always cherish, man. The love of just what the game has done for me, because now talking about my business, like it's translated into being able to do that while I'm still trying to go, So even when it's all said and done, man, like I won't ever, um, it can never take away how much I have, how much love I have for it. So that's that, man. I'm truly, truly grateful for everything the game has done for me. Like, I wouldn't be who I am without the game of football, but I know that that was just a stepping stone to all the big things that's here to come.
I love that, man. I
Yes,
love
sir.
that. Well, listen, I definitely appreciate you being on, CJ, man. Where can the people find you, man? How do they get in touch with you?
Yes, sir. You can find me on social media, Instagram, CJ Avery 9, as well as my business, A1 Athlete Development. So, man, that's us. That's where I'll be. So, if you got anything, shoot me a DM.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, QA family, Quiet Arena family, man, I appreciate you joining us in the arena, aka the locker room. Shout out my man, Coach D, for that lane. But as I always say, man, we are more than athletes, and when the arena gets quiet, it doesn't mean that your life is over. It actually means that it's just beginning. And so if you need help in any regards, man, I want you to go to the Quiet Arena podcast and click on resources. When you quietarenapodcast.com, click on resources. When you get there, you'll see a book there called What to Do When It's Done, Navigating Life After the Game. That's a resource that we created for everybody that's been in the sport, that's looking for their purpose, looking for their identity, looking to understand what do we do next. As always, I appreciate you guys joining us, and stay tuned, because we're going to keep this thing rolling. We're here. We're loud and we're excited to be talking about what life looks like after the game. And as you can see, man, like my man CJ is doing some wonderful things, as well as the previous guests that we've had on. There's life after. It is your man, Tony the Tycoon. We're out.
Living legend, lethal weapon, mastermind, never tried, tell 'em all.